It will reduce the
Hypertension, diabetes, all the brain, because brain gets a lot of blood supply. So there is no depression then. Blood pressure also towards the baseline. Blood glucose also towards the baseline. So everything becomes harmonized.
So this has been proved by the research that
Yes. Your memory becomes sharper. Your skills become better.
you can understand and grasp things faster.
Fast, exactly. The sharpness, the creativity, everything increases.
Now, after listening to all this, why only 4.5 crore people are practicing this?
In COVID, the research is showing now that people who had their lung capacity below 2 or 1.5, they were the ones who got very severe form of COVID. Sudarshan Kriya, it has a very, very powerful impact in increasing your lung capacity. Anybody else was put in my place, they would develop COVID after getting exposed to so many patients, and they would go on a healing phase. For months and months, I never developed COVID even once. And I got the idea of pharmaceutical mafia or the big pharma. Not too many people from the business of healthcare want you to be
Healthy.
totally healthy.
What is this Sudarshan Kriya? How does it work? Is there a science behind this? What happens when a person does Sudarshan Kriya? Is it placebo or is it actually the technique that gives you the benefit? As a doctor, was there any resistance for you to accept this spiritual way of life, and what impact it has on your brain and your memory? Does it help to increase immunity? Scientifically, what would you advise to the so-called intellectuals out there? So welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss the healing science behind Sudarshan Kriya. More than 180 countries, people have experienced this powerful breathing technique. Like I think 4.5 crore people have experienced. And a lot of people out there are very curious. What is this Sudarshan Kriya? How does it work? What are the benefits? And is there a science behind this? Or it is just a question of belief? So today, of course, Dr. Ruchi, and she has been an ENT surgeon, worked in the Indian Navy, and a practitioner of Sudarshan Kriya for the last 16 years. And you have been teaching Sudarshan Kriya for the last 6 years. So I thought it's a good combination. Like I always been into Sudarshan Kriya since I was 18 years old. And I think your journey also started
20.
when you were 20. So as a doctor and steeped into the medical science world, we thought that we will have this discussion about how this Sudarshan Kriya entered in Dr. Ruchi's life and what happened. So first, my question is, as a doctor, was there any resistance for you to accept this spiritual way of life, this doing breathing techniques and meditation, or was it very natural for you?
Definitely, there was a overthinking aspect to it. Is it just hyperventilation, or is it just I'm sleeping, that's why I'm feeling a little fresh, or no, it was not like, okay, yeah, I meditated and I felt so good, so this is amazing. I had my doubts, I had my, wanting to know the science behind, as we are having this podcast today. So I read a lot of research on that. I attended a lot of conferences also on Sudarshan Kriya. So slowly I realized with time and with my own experience, the most important part playing in my patients, the kind of results I got in them. So all combined, I am now in a space where I can tell with some authority and some confidence that definitely it has a powerful science behind it.
So you were open to that possibility also. At the same time, you're a little skeptical also.
Yes. Because the experience spoke for itself. When I first did Sudarshan Kriya, I still remember 2nd June 2010. So that experience was so powerful, it could not be denied. It was clearly that, okay, something is very different. The mind is totally washed out. Thoughts are coming one by one. It is nothing like a jam, or there's a congestion of thought and I don't know what to do and I don't know, confusion. Nothing like that. In fact, I tell my experience in one line. The life was exactly the same as before, that I had some fights with my friends or whatever struggles and the pressure of studies and whatever. But now all those things were not holding my mind. They were there, but my mind has come out of that grip of that negative emotions from it. It was a clear-cut freshness that I felt.
Okay, so now some of the intellectual or highly educated people have this one term to defy all these experiences. They say, all this is placebo. Meditation relieves anxiety, it is placebo. I read one research. In the research also, in the end, the sentence was mentioned that you cannot rule out the possibility that it is not placebo. But meditation definitely helps to reduce anxiety. And then people hold on to that one line. So what is your opinion about, is it placebo or is it actually the technique that gives you the benefit?
See, placebo, see, all the research that has come, not just one that you are quoting, there are many researches which tell how even genetic level changes are also seen. We will talk about it hopefully in the subsequent few questions of the podcast. So they cannot be just like, oh, I think it will help me at that. There is a significant p-value. That means there is a everything taken into account, all the confounding factors, all the placebo-related effects, and then the study says, okay, this helps in this. That means if you have already encountered that part. But I have, in my own experience of so many years, I have guided many of my friends who were skeptics, many of my patients who did not believe in all these things. So the placebo mindset was not there. Okay, this will help me. No, they went because I was pushing them so much, especially my friends, my parents and all that. But once they did it, they had tremendous benefits and this kind of got hooked on that. So in my own experience, it cannot be placebo because people who were absolutely against it also and thought, oh yeah, तू तो फंस गई इस चक्कर में and all that. हमें कोई फंसाएगी, ये सब बुड्ढों के लिए होता है. It is not the age and all that. So they also got benefits. So it is not all the time placebo kind of format that works with meditation.
So since our topic today is healing, have you witnessed in your patients any like miraculous healings that have happened?
Many. In fact, my own self, first I'll try to start with myself. I had a nervous breakdown in my post-graduation. It was the most horrible time of my life and I had a skin issue, like in planets, the whole body turned black. I lost weight, I could not sleep, I had severe migraine and that developed in that stressful time only. So I got out of that phase without any medication and any label of a psychiatric patient and everything because of Sudarshan Kriya and the advanced level meditation programs that I did. So one is myself, that if you see my photographs of that time, you can't believe that it is me. Secondly, I had one patient, one of the most miraculous cases I have seen in my life is, he had the mandibular dystonia. He was an officer in the defense forces only, and when he joined the service, he was...
What is that? What happens in that?
Mandibular dystonia. So whenever he would start talking, his jaw will go into spasm. It's like there's a clenching. And it is involuntary and it has somewhere relation to psychological factors definitely. And he was taking Botox injection in the jaw musculature for 8 years just to loosen it up so that he could function, eat and talk and all those things. So he was suggested to learn Sudarshan Kriya in just one sitting. That is one of the most, actually it is a miracle only that in just one sitting, his jaw completely opened. And as the workshop finished, within 3 days, was totally out of it. Another example,
he is off medication now.
He's off medication, off injections of Botox. Just 3 days. After 3 days, he never had any issue with this part. Another, like you said about placebo, one of my very skeptic patient. In fact, he was not my patient, he was kind of a colleague. So, but he had hypertension. So I told him many times कि आपको करना चाहिए and that this will help you, and because he was at a position where he could make it official for a lot of people to learn meditation in my service. So I wanted him to learn first so that he could make it compulsory for others also. But he was very, no, all these things, I don't want to do this, this is, maybe it has religious connotations, and he was very skeptical about everything about meditation. So, but somehow I convinced him, he came for the workshop. In fact, you were the one who was teaching that workshop. And after 1 week, he sends me a photograph of his blood pressure machine showing a reading of 110/70. And then he asked me, what is happening? When I said, are you a hypertensive? So he said, yes. I told him that you should meet your doctor and you should reduce the amount of your hypertension medicine now because your blood pressure is coming down naturally. So one more lady who was at a very young age, she lost her husband and she had 2 kids, young kids. So she went into depression. Then because of that depression, as we all know nowadays, that many illnesses come when you are stressed out and depressed. So she had hypertension, then she got diabetes, then she had hypothyroidism, then she had cholesterol issues. So she became like a, pill popping machine. Through a friend, I got to know her and I told her that you should learn meditation also along with your medicines. And after 3 months, she sent me all the reports of her cholesterol, of her thyroid, blood pressure and everything. She said, absolutely fine now. So I have seen many patients. So
Yeah.
and I have heard even more. Like I have heard about a lady in Agra. She's an art of living teacher now. She had nephrotic syndrome. She was on steroids for a long time, and her weight increased tremendously. As we all know, steroids have a lot of side effects. And she was again told about this, and within few weeks, she was off steroids. And in her life, for last 15-20 years, she has never got the relapse of nephrotic syndrome ever. My friend, Mr. Prasad Karwa, so he had severe migraine issues, and he used to be hospitalized during his school days for at least 1 month per year for severe attacks. And he was told to learn Sudarshan Kriya, and at the age of 18 he did. And he tells me that after that, not even once he has had any headache, not just migraine. So I can go on and on because this is my forte to know about people who got miraculous healing experiences with this.
So now that we have talked about healing, you have gone through the conferences and the research and everything. So what is the science behind the healing?
Okay.
What happens when a person does Sudarshan Kriya? What happens in his brain? What happens in his body? What happens in his blood? What happens to his heart? And what happens to his immunity? Everything.
So there are more than 1,000 researches now available all across the world.
1,000?
More than 1,000. And if we go on individual research, it's going to take 2-3 hours of this podcast. But I'll tell you a little broad understanding of how Sudarshan Kriya works on your body and mind. For that, you have to do a mini MBBS with me. I just, in few lines, I'll try to give you the basic of health. So as man was evolving, his whole systems are evolving. So initially there was a system called autonomic nervous system, in which you are automatically adjusting your body to things that happen around you. So whenever there was a wild animal coming, or you are about to hunt, or you need a lot of physical strength. This was the stress that time, maybe thousands of years back. So the autonomic nervous system will switch on what is called as fight and flight mode. For that, your body will quickly adjust so that all the blood comes to your biceps, your hands, your legs. Run. Your heart, the heart will become fast, your BP will increase. You will need a lot of glucose, so the cortisol will increase, so that glucose comes up, and the blood will be taken away from your skin and digestion, because that is not the priority at that moment, not even brain. So brain will also be sucked away from a lot of blood, so that the blood goes to the skeletal muscles and you can just have all the physical power. So as man evolved out of that zone where he was fighting all these wild animals to today's time, when he is living in a civilized society and the stresses are no more physical, they are mostly emotional, the deadlines and the emotional relationships and all. But this part of human system did not evolve as much. It is still reacting the same exact way how it used to react thousands of years back, on having a sense of stress, like it is going to take blood away from the brain and skin and digestion and give it all to your skeletal muscles, But it's useless now. So what happens in this process? You are getting prone to a lot of psychosomatic illnesses. Because the moment you felt stress, the psychology felt stress, the somatic, the body is giving glucose and blood pressure and heart rate is increasing, and stress ulcer, if you have heard, because digestion is taken away from the blood supply. So the acid that is being released, it is not moving further, so it's creating a pit there. So stress ulcers, that is called. Skin becomes dull. Cortisol causes excess cortisol unused. It causes centripetal obesity. The stomach comes out, right? The pot belly, face becomes round, the moon faces we call it. So there are so many effects of these stress chemicals, the fight and flight mode.
Fight, fright also is...
Yeah, you can say triple F or double F, fight, fright and flight, or fight and flight. But the other aspect to this autonomic nervous system is whenever you are not feeling stress and you are rested, then it switches on something else, which is called the rest and digest mode, or the parasympathetic system, or which is the vagus nerve activation. In that, everything is reversed. Your heart rate comes down, your blood pressure comes down, your cortisol comes down, the blood is going in good amounts to your skin, to your brain, to your digestion, you have good digestion, all those things. So the more the human body stays in the rest and digest for longer and longer, it has the propensity to heal itself, to stay healthier.
And which happens through the vagus nerve activation.
The vagus nerve activation, which is very, very powerfully activated when you do Sudarshan Kriya. In fact, the first 3-stage pranayam that we do.
Even Ujjayi breath.
Yeah, that the 3-stage Ujjayi pranayam that we do, it has direct activation of vagal nerve endings at the pharyngeal plexus behind the throat, and in the nerve endings in the lungs and the trachea. So you have done it, people who have done it, they will know that extreme stretch and the hissing that happens, so it activates that. And the prolonged exhalation activates the baroreceptors and they reduce the blood pressure.
Prolongs what?
Exhalation till 6 counts.
Prolonged exhalation activates what?
Baroreceptors.
What are they?
Baroreceptors control the blood pressure. So when the chest is compressed and the pressure is increased in the chest, the baroreceptors which are in the carotid arteries here, they sense, oh, the pressure is increased, so we need to reduce the pressure. So they change the physiology in such a way that the blood pressure comes down. So that is why people who have hypertension, they are wasting their time. They are not doing Sudarshan Kriya at earliest. It has tremendous benefits in that. And apart from that, the rhythm of the breath, it has a lot of impact on our brain and the kind of chemicals it secretes. See, every emotion has a breath pattern. Even psychiatrists all across the world
So
have
some people who don't know, the Sudarshan Kriya is a rhythmic breathing pattern technique. The technique, yeah.
Yeah. So medically also, the psychiatrists all over the world, they always tell you that whenever you are feeling very angry, so before you say something, your breath is fast when you are angry. So before you say something, you take 10 deep long breaths. With the moment that short breath of anger is converted into the long breaths voluntarily, the intensity of anger melts away. So it is a very well-known psychiatric intervention that people do, and they are taught to learn this in rage management and all. So if you go very much deep in the science, and I think medical science is not yet fully developed to utilize this aspect fully, but from my knowledge of our scriptures and especially the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there it is written that changing the rhythm of breath and making the exhalation longer can bring you to a state of absolute equanimity of mind. Prachardan vidhar nabhiham pranaseva. So that means by changing the rhythm, you can bring the mind to the meditative state. So that is Sudarshan Kriya.
So basically, first thing that Sudarshan Kriya does is activates the vagus nerve
Yeah.
and activates your parasympathetic system.
Yeah.
So then it will reduce the hypertension.
Hypertension, diabetes, all the brain, because brain gets a lot of blood supply. So there is no depression then. Because brain is functioning well.
And your digestion will also.
Yeah, the digestion improves. Once you water the roots of a plant, you don't have to water every single leaf because you have watered the root. So I told you in a broader way how Sudarshan Kriya is going to change the physiology. So you have watered the root, you have activated the whole parasympathetic system. So everything goes into a rest and digest and healing space. So everything is going to heal. So I'm not going to tell you how the nephrotic syndrome got healed in that lady, because we have already watered the root. The body's kidneys also will get the healing space. The digestion will also get the healing space. But if we talk about individual researches, how it is seen that just by one session of Sudarshan Kriya, cortisol is seen to drop by 54%.
Cortisol is needed, but no in the blood.
It is needed in spikes, and there is a level that is baseline, but it is also a stress chemical. So
when stress increases, cortisol goes above the baseline.
Above the required. So everything is required by the body. See, cholesterol is also required. Blood pressure is, because zero blood pressure means you are dead. Glucose is also required. Everything is required. Cortisol is also required. But when these things go beyond the normal range, that is when we call it a disease. So cortisol, when goes beyond the range, it is causing us centripetal obesity and immunity.
So Sudarshan Kriya helps the cortisol to come towards the baseline.
Towards the baseline. Blood pressure also towards the baseline. Blood glucose also towards the baseline. So everything becomes harmonized.
So this has been proved by the research that
Yes.
cortisol reduces.
Cortisol reduces by 54% in just one setting of Sudarshan Kriya. And if you practice it regularly, it stays low.
Okay, what else?
So there is a lot of research done on diabetic patients also. So it brings the blood glucose level towards what we are wanting people to have. Hypertension. See, hypertension I want to reinforce again and again, because the term which is given to hypertension in medical science is called essential hypertension.
What is that?
Essential hypertension. Zarurat wala, zabardasti ka, essential it is.
Essential.
Essential hypertension. The technical term is that, which basically means your kidneys are fine, and you don't have any tumor here and there which is secreting adrenaline like a pheochromocytoma. So basically there is no other problem, but you have hypertension. So essentially you are going to have hypertension. Your blood pressure is going to be high. So they don't directly relate it to stress in that impactful way as I would want to stress upon, because essential hypertension basically means you are having your fight and flight mode activated for longer than required. छोटी छोटी बात पे अगर आपको स्ट्रेस हो रहा है, अभी किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, then ऑफिस में कुछ हो गया, then something happens in the home, and then financial stress and emotional. So constantly there is some amount of fight and flight that is staying active. So your blood pressure will go towards a higher range, it will maintain there. So it is essentially a stress-related alteration that the body creates. So essential hypertension people should essentially learn Sudarshan Kriya. That there may the essential may cancel and people may be out of their
Hypertension.
issue.
And what impact it has on your brain and your memory, Sudarshan?
Lot of impact. It is seen that after 6 weeks of meditations, your cortical thickness starts increasing. Cortical thickness is the thinking part.
I don't know what is cortical.
The thinking part, the cognition, the creativity, everything what your brain does know.
Okay.
All the smart work, the mathematical skills of memory, everything that the brain does actually, cognition and memory, everything it is through the
Little bit you will have to dumb down
okay.
and explain the terminology for the audience also, who are not from this field at all.
Yeah. So this is a grey matter. And you must have heard about grey matter, no? Grey matter is like the part of the brain which has all the powers to be creative and to be mathematical, to be analytical, to be intelligent.
No, but they say left brain is logic, right brain is creativity.
That is the centers that are there. See, our one side of the brain has area for hearing, area for writing. Cerebellum has area for the involuntary actions which you have to learn before, like cycling. Once you learned it, it is involuntary. Typing, once you learned it, is involuntary. So that is all controlled by the cerebellum. The front part has memory and emotional aspects, sexual centers, control of the thumb and the fingers and the whole motor function. So parts of brain have different areas.
So what is that part you said? Grey matter is?
The grey matter becomes higher in amount. Like the thickening becomes more.
Then
Because of that, you become more intelligent. Your memory becomes sharper. Your skills become better.
you can understand and grasp things faster.
Fast, exactly. That is one aspect. Second is, there's a lot of research that shows that serotonin, which is the calming and happiness hormone, or I would say neurotransmitter, that is the chemical secreted in the brain, neurotransmitter that transmits signaling in the brain, that increases. The dopamine increases. So dopamine is an addiction kind of a chemical. So, you get a like, you get a dopamine spike. So you get addicted to that. So things like that. So once you have your own dopamine being released with meditation, you don't want to have external stimuli to give you that, the kicks, the dopamine kick. Then there is a study that showed amygdala versus hippocampus ratio. I had to tell that. Hippocampus has the permanent memory center.
Okay.
And amygdala has negative emotion center. So it is seen that when people meditate, their hippocampus becomes big and amygdala becomes small with time. So the negative memories and negative impressions, they become lesser and lesser. And the sharpness, the memory, the focus, that becomes better. And hypothalamus, which is the highest hormonal center of the body. From there it gives signals to pituitary gland, which is here. From there it goes to the...
Where is the hypothalamus?
It is in the center of the brain.
Okay.
So that also becomes very well functioning. In fact, it is the emotional center also and hormonal center also. So people who meditate, they become emotionally very stable and happy and calm. So their hormonal axis becomes very good.
No, after listening to all this, I think why only 4.5 crore people are practicing this?
And then for students, it is very good to do, because after Sudarshan Kriya, there is a lot of increase in beta waves. EEG, that area of brain, major part of the brain becomes relaxed and alert at the same time. There's no clumsiness, which I think how I explained my own experience, that I felt one by one thoughts are coming. It is a relaxed and very focused state that I felt. Beta waves are on EEG, when you measure them, they are the ones which will give you very good results when you study. So when people do Sudarshan Kriya, major part of brain becomes in that space.
Does it help to increase immunity scientifically?
Yes, a very good question, because in COVID, the research is showing now that people who had their lung capacity below 2 or 1.5, they were the ones who got very severe form of COVID. Sudarshan Kriya, starting from the 3 stage of pranayam that it starts with, it has a very, very powerful impact in increasing your lung capacity. In fact, it makes it 2 or 3 times higher. Like usually we use only 30% of our lung capacity on average, every Indian. But when you are a Sudarshan Kriya practitioner, it can become to 80%, 90%, like
But
that.
lung capacity will increase your energy levels. It has also impact on immunity.
Yes. So lung capacity, if it is good, there is good oxygenation. So actually the whole body is functioning better. And you have very less chances to develop all these URI infections. And COVID is also URI, upper respiratory tract infection.
Okay.
You know? So this pandemic, another one has started in China, I heard. There's some reports coming. So first, in today's time, you have to be like a pandemic-ready lung capacity you have to have. So if you have good, like I was COVID in charge throughout the pandemic. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, all I was made in charge again and again by my hospital people, because anybody else was put in my place, they would develop COVID after getting exposed to so many patients, and they would go on a quarantine or a healing phase. I was like, for months and months I continued. I never developed COVID even once in all the 3 waves. So I give full credit to Sudarshan Kriya. That was the impact in terms of the immunity. But also there's a research that says people who are practitioners of Sudarshan Kriya for few years, like the teachers of Art of Living, at least for 3 years, like that, they have a very high number of NK cells in their blood, natural killer cell. Natural killer cell is also nicknamed as the policeman of the body. So what they do is they are moving in the blood all across, and they are just looking for, is there any cell which is turning cancerous? Okay, they find it, they take it, they kill it. So you are like killing the bud of cancer as it begins. Or any fungus is growing, okay, then kill that cell, so fungus growth stops, viral infection stops. So they are very good policemen of the body. So if they are...
So immunity also, no?
Yes, everything, the bacteria, viral, everything, and especially cancer, because they are the...
More NK cells, more immunity.
More NK cells, more immunity. It is seen that some people who are teachers of Art of Living have NK cells count as high as 5 times compared to the general population. And one more study I want to quote here for immunity and for anti-aging also is your sleep quality. If you have a good sleep, sleep is said to be one of the elixirs of life. Sunlight, sleep, all those activity, physical activity. And I can, if I take the liberty of adding meditation, so Sudarshan Kriya has another one. So if you have good sleep, you will be very young for a very long time, and you will heal faster of all the injuries or day-to-day wear and tear that body goes through. Average person who is not a meditator or a Sudarshan Kriya practitioner spends around 4% of his night time in deep sleep, or the slow wave sleep cycle, as we call it. But a person who is a practitioner of Sudarshan Kriya, within 3 months, he starts spending 13% of his time, like more than 3 times than the average in deep sleep stage. So the more the deep sleep, the more healing, the more anti-aging, the more brilliance of brain, the more memory, the sharpness, the creativity, everything increases.
So if it is so good, it is like a most obvious thing to do for humanity. It sounds like that.
Yes.
Medically, because I also practice Sudarshan Kriya, obviously, so I would say that. But now with all this, when I did the course, Art of Living program in 1997, we did not have all this research, all this data. I just believed my friend, trusted my friend, and he pushed me into it. But now if all this data is out there, either the data has not reached to the common man, that is why we are doing this podcast, or the second thing is there some attitudinal issue, or for people to still have prejudice against something which is not propagated by a scientist, for example. If Sri Sri Ravi Shankar was let's say a PhD scientist from Indian Institute of Science, then maybe it would have been accepted more, or just because he is a spiritual guru, people are finding it difficult to accept it. Or why only 4.5 crore people have done this so far?
So starting from 4.5 or like 5, only 4.5 because we have come to this point. Yeah, it's a good state of change. I will tell you from a medical perspective. I will tell you my own experience. When the COVID happened, Art of Living had made the workshop free for all the doctors, nurses, and the hospital staff. So I was very happy, and I was a teacher at that time of Art of Living, and I was reaping the benefits. I was not having COVID in spite of, being 100% times we've got
COVID in charge.
COVID patients, giving them CPRs to seeing them the first hand, everything. So I went to my boss of the hospital and I told him, sir, these are the researches. I took the printout and I told him, let's make everyone do this so that our hospital is safeguarded, and let's do a research also. Why not? Like, we have an incidence now of COVID in our hospital. Let's see after that healthcare incidence kaisa rehta hai iska. And he said, oh, all these are bought researches. These studies are not true. Because you have not even opened the file. How can you tell like that? I am telling you from so many years I am doing. No, ये सब तुम लोग का सही है. So this surprised me a lot because I thought he would be like happy. Because it is free also. You don't have any financial implications. What is the harm in trying out for a 3 days thing for 2 hours? What is the problem? So he did not budge. He just did not budge. That was the first time I also encountered this such a
Prejudice.
heavy prejudice, not just prejudice. Like, people can die. This thing I'm offering, when world knows nothing about it, and I'm offering something free of cost, which can save. And I am the live example. Which you are acknowledging that I have strong immunity, and you are not acknowledging the reason I'm giving.
Only during COVID it was free of cost for. So I'm just clearing this.
Yes.
Sudarshan Kriya is not free of cost. You have to pay and do the happiness program wherever you are. But for COVID time, it was free of cost for some
the healthcare
professionals.
Yeah. So then I just tried to find out from my seniors, people who are same thought process as me, and I got this exposure or the idea of pharmaceutical mafia or the big pharma. So the idea is that not too many people from the business of healthcare want you to be
Healthy.
totally healthy or totally drug free.
They don't want alternatives, healing techniques.
Yeah,
But
that is why I was just going through. They still call Ayurveda as a pseudoscience. I have used it so many times. I have given it to my family members, and my orthopedician friends give ashwagandha under the name of Sinatab. My hepatologist friends give Livon, which is a completely Ayurvedic medicine. So it is like, actually, without going through and through with the research, you are calling something pseudoscience. It means you are scared of it somewhere. Same with your meditation also. The big companies who sponsor studies, because they want to sponsor studies so that their drug can come out as a useful remedy for the illness that they are studying upon. They will not want to tell teach in people something, then after that their companies have nothing to do. So it is basically business. There is a definite component. That is why I was just through my MBA.
But what about the general people?
But general people are,
The
till
so-called intellectual, what would you advise to the so-called intellectuals out there?
I would advise them to be intelligent and not just stay intellectual. The intellectual person wants to grab everything, all the functioning of the universe through his brain. If I don't understand, it does not exist. An intelligent person will be sensitive enough to know that, okay, there is something beyond. Like, medically speaking, an intelligent doctor will always be aware that I am giving the same medicine to all the 20 people lying in my ICU with the same parameters of their blood pressure and the crucial, but not everyone heals. Some die also. But there is some other factor also that played a role in healing some and not healing the others. A person who is on ventilator, if you even put a heart pump also, and you recreate the exact physiology of a life, of a living person in that person, but once he dies, that moment he dies, something has happened that no matter how artificial you try to recreate a live form from that, it is not possible. That means
The life has escaped.
something has escaped which you can't see. That is what the spiritual world is. The spirit, the soul has left. You always, and the other also is true. There are so many amazing stories of near-death experiences. There are books written on that. There are, in fact, on Netflix, I watched this documentary called Surviving Death, in which there are many stories. One of them was a lady who was having some water sports at a waterfall, and she drowned. And for 20 minutes, she was not traceable. She was inside water, and everybody knew that she is dead, obviously. After 20 minutes, the body was found floating somewhere. The body was taken out. Something was done, trying just a routine. She got up.
And she was dead.
She was dead.
Clinically dead.
Clinically dead. There was no heart rate. There was nothing. And she got up after just doing some 2-3 minutes of CPR. And then people were so surprised. How is it possible? Then she has another story to tell. She says, my soul had left the body. And I went to the higher realms. And I was received by this powerful, intuitive, loving energy that some may like to call God or whatever. And then, very interesting fact, this could be a hallucination, we all may think, but then she said something very interesting. She said, I was told by that intuitive space that my son, my eldest son, is going to die before he turns 18. And that son was very young, I think he was some 10 years old at that time. And she had this intuition, and she was very scared through the years of his growing up, and she didn't tell this to anyone. And just at his 18th birthday, around that time, he had an accident and he passed away. Not just that, there are many books written by doctors.
Yeah.
You know, doctors who were like intellectuals first.
Proof of heaven.
Proof of Heaven is one. Many Lives, Many Masters is one. Many Lives, Many Masters is one of my favorite books. A psychiatrist who is encountered with a patient who has so many problems psychologically. She has anxiety, depression, phobia of water, this and that. And he is trying to treat her. She can't be treated with anything. No medicine is working. Then he tries the final resort of hypnotizing her and finding out something.
Regression.
Not exactly regression. Till then, it was not regression. Till he was trying to find something in her childhood that could have triggered so many things. So he hypnotized her and started taking her back. And then from 3 years, she became 39 years. Moving back. And then he got very surprised what is happening. Then she started talking, I am this, I am in that place. And then like that, she slipped back into 83 of her past lives. And all her issues that were there in her present life had some kind of, link in the past life. The kind of people she was stuck with, like she was in a affair with a married man who was there in the past life also as a enemy soldier because of her pain. It is a very fine thing. Yeah.
Extreme science, we have gone to extreme mystical.
Yeah. But you cannot ignore all these things because that is a psychiatrist opinion. He has full medical authority to tell things like that. And then, the moment she goes back like that in 5 lifetimes, her clinical condition becomes
better,
normal. She becomes normal. In fact, she starts glowing. And she becomes very spiritually evolved because the moment she has seen herself dying with water, her water phobia goes away. Then she has some issue with some person, then that person is, she's seeing, I'm just paying back. It is a very...
Or that person is paying back.
Yeah. So that book, and the second book is that you mentioned, Proof of Heaven, by Dr. Eben Alexander. He's a neurosurgeon, as you must be reading. For the audience, I would tell. He's a neurosurgeon who has this very severe brain infection called E. coli encephalitis, and he goes into coma. And he stays in coma for 7 days. So, any doctor...
And he recollects all that 7-day experiences.
Not just that. Then he comes back after 7 days, just before the doctor is about to switch off his life support because they know now he can't come back. Anyways, this is a very severe illness. Nobody comes back, so he is also not about to come back. Then they are about to, tell the family we are closing off the ventilative support. He just sits. And a person with that vegetative state for so many days is usually very weak. Lost a lot of muscle, lost a lot of brain function. He was absolutely fine. Absolutely functional mentally also. And he tells, my soul had left. And then it moved here and there. And very interesting part, my favorite part of that book is, he says, he's a Christian. He's from US. He has never been to India. And he says, the energy that received me once my soul had gone, it was so unconditional love and so much beauty. It was amazing. And I can't name it. There is no form and I can't name it. But if you force me to name it, I'll have to call it Om. So Om is the, the beautiful vibration.
Tasya vachaka pranava.
Yes, Patanjali says. And that Proof of Heaven is actually almost a copy of Garud Purana.
His experiences match with what is written in Garud Purana.
in Garuda Puran, the text, which is in the Indian text, which tells the journey of soul after death. So unbelievable similarities. And the best part about the book, again, the second best part of the book is, in the end, he writes as a neurosurgeon from the medical point of view how all these things are not his hallucinations or delusions, and how he proves all that in the last few pages. It is amazing. So, this is how you know that.
Once Gurudev had said, "No, don't be. It's okay to be skeptical, but don't be cynical." After this, there is a lot of stuff that we can never understand, and it is beyond the intellect.
Yeah. So knowing that something is beyond our understanding also, and it may not be able to encapture everything in our small little brain, is a true intelligence. It's a sign of truly intelligent person.
Nice.
Medically also, if I want to take this opportunity to raise this, all the doctors who are watching and who may be too logical in this point, we all know that the biggest mystery of medical world is how a single cell in the womb of the mother
Becomes a baby.
because a baby is just one cell, isolated. That also, it is not that it is connected to some nerve cells of the mother. It is isolated. It goes into 2, then into 4, and then 16, and then the moment it becomes a little bit of a grape size, grape form, it's actually okay. Now you people go there and make some eyes. You people go there and make limbs. You people go there and make digestive system.
Inherent intelligence.
Yeah, that intelligence, from where it has come. What it is exactly knowing which genes to activate in this part to create all the proteins to make eyes, and which gene to activate there to make the nails and the hair. And this is a mystery. This is the biggest mystery of medical science, and nobody can answer it just by non-spiritual thinking. You have to know that there is a higher power that.
And there is so much perfection in it, in the way it functions.
Yes.
One thing here, and just even suddenly the eyes will come in the air. Come on, अरे इसका गले पे आ गया आँखें, इसका घुटने में, कुछ भी हो सकता है. But ऐसा होता नहीं. Very rarely ऐसा होता भी है, लेकिन some weird deformities. But that is like 1 in a million or.
Even rarer.
So to the audience, we would like to say that it is good to be open-minded and not be closed. Maybe in this option, maybe or perhaps this may work, because I have seen many people like, well, this is not for me. ये सब मेरे लिए नहीं है. I am not this, not my types. और ये बुढ़ा होने के बाद करेंगे. So this is not a scientific attitude to have, isn't it? So if you people have not yet experienced Sudarshan Kriya, just go for it. Just learn it. Just log on to the website or send us a message that or post it in the comments that I would like to learn Sudarshan Kriya, and we will guide you after that. But this is something not to be missed. After listening to all this, if you still have some doubts, doesn't matter. With those doubts, you can still go and jump into some piece.
Yeah, it is not a placebo. So with your doubts also, you will have all the benefits that you're supposed to have of Sudarshan Kriya. And I keep teaching Sudarshan Kriya online, offline. So especially people who have some medical, problems. So they want a doctor's assistance during the workshop. So you can definitely connect with me.
And one more thing, even though if you don't have any disease,
Yeah.
Sudarshan Kriya is still for you. Remember all that we said, how your grey matter increases, your grasping power becomes better, your immunity becomes better, and they say prevention is better than cure. So don't wait for some disease to attack to you. Only then you are going to learn something, meditation or something like that.
आग लगने के बाद कुआं नहीं खोदना है. And it is not, I want to quote Gurudev on this beautiful aspect. He once said that, some people are very obsessed about their fitness. Just physically they have no medicine to eat, and they are very muscular and fit. They think they have achieved the highest purpose of life. So like that, somebody was asking Gurudev something in this reference. He said, so what if you have a amazing body or a very good looking body or a very healthy body? Do you want to keep it like a trophy? So the higher purpose of life is not to have a disease-free body till the last moment of your breath. It is obviously, it is one of the good things to have, but you have to go beyond the just body. You have to achieve a higher consciousness state also.
100% fit body till the last breath is also not
a bad
possible.
thing to have. Yeah, definitely it is.
Yeah, unless then you are dying in an accident or something. your body is going to deteriorate as you age, no?
Yeah. But
So
with
more
yoga-
important is
with yogasanas and meditation, maybe you can, like I have heard that many of the yogis have practiced up to 108 Surya Namaskars till the last day of their life. So I would like to aim that as, and I don't know, nobody wants to become debilitated as we age. So we can invest right now only, from now itself. So it is a side dish to have a good body and a healthy body. The main course is
the mind.
state of mind with which you live this body. It should be absolutely in bliss and happiness. That is what intelligent will aim, not just the intellectual. Yeah.
Okay, then see you soon in the next video. Till then,
Namaste.
bye. Namaste.